Ay, mija, abuelita's on her way and I still need to shop for the party.
No worries. Let's order through Instacart.
¿Insta qué?
Sí, llama. We can order groceries and more online and get everything delivered in as fast as an hour.
Everything for dinner? Carne, tortillas, limas, plátanos.
Claro. Anything else?
Just make sure the plátanos are ripe.
Get groceries delivered same day with Instacart so you have more time for family. Visit instacart.com or download the app to get free delivery on your first 3 orders. Offer valid for a limited time. Minimum order $10. Additional terms apply.
Oh, hi. Welcome to my kitchen. My name is Elle. It's been a while. Help me cook. Get you guys down from there. Glad you could join me. I've been having conversations with people about some of the things that are going on in social media and in the world right now. And I thought, what better conversation to share with others? Have you ever heard the phrase where people say, if you don't learn from history, it's doomed to repeat itself? Something along those lines. Try as some people might, as important as history can be to developing relationships, innovating not even just technology, but ideas of society, some people just do not want history to be taught. On this episode of Let's Talk About All of the Things, we're going to talk about history and its implications on how we deal with each other in the present and in the future. Are you ready? Let's go. So, let's chill out, talk some history while I cook in my house dress, right? Okay, because that keeps it real. I never make the assumption that people watch me across all social media platforms. So you may be seeing this after seeing another post that I made. But what I will say is, based on the interactions that I've had with people about my post, it appears to resonate. And when it resonates, people want to talk about it. The good thing about talking, creating dialogue around these conversations means that's a door open for change. The topic that has everyone talking. Let's talk about that video from the Victoria's Secret store where the white woman hit the black lady and then had a meltdown and the cops got called and nothing happened. Yeah, that story. Many things happened in there that were troublesome, but there's 2 in particular that are very damning, and I want to share those. If you're an ally or you're somebody who wants to know more about history, listen up. The woman who had the meltdown weaponized her whiteness and her tears. Weaponized tears can be the difference between life, freedom, and death for black people. You've seen it in cases like Emmett Till, and then for other cases you'll never hear of the men and women who were lynched and burned or wrongfully imprisoned because someone cried or lied on them. Luckily, this black woman who was aware of this recorded this because she knew at some point someone might not believe her. Who wants to walk around believing that they won't be believed? The second thing that happened, another white woman was purchasing something at the counter and told the black woman, why don't you just back away? For many years in this country, black men and women couldn't even walk on the same sidewalk as white people, couldn't look them in the eye. I'd like to think that her main reason for saying it was to get that woman to walk away so the lady could shut up. But more than likely, it was she was uncomfortable with the situation and felt that the path of least resistance was the one that should have been taken, instead of at least approaching the situation and validating what was happening, because everyone in that store saw what was going on. And trust me, if the black woman had done something or was cutting up, the cops would have got there fast. Look, anybody could weaponize their tears. It's an art of manipulation. Even after being hit, the black woman never hit the white woman that hit her. Even after the white woman chased the black woman around the store, she still didn't do anything to her. And when the cops got there, they were like, well, there's nothing we can do. Even though I don't ascribe to this, that narrative surrounding black women that says we're angry, I've said it before, we're not angry, we're just pissed and we're fed up. I find it interesting that in many situations when BIPOC are in public and something happens, white people will record them to prove that they're doing something wrong. But those black and brown people will record themselves and the actions of the other people just to prove that they're right. Sounds exhausting, right? Because it is. No one should ever use their thoughts or actions or tears as a weapon. And no one should ever be dismissed in a time of need, especially if what's happening makes you uncomfortable. And quite frankly, I could have said more. I've edited this like 5 times, but I'm pretty much done. I'm a black woman. I'm tired of watching stuff like this and other black women not being heard and being disrespected. I mean, it's just that simple. It's just exhausting. If you even stuck around for the whole video once you heard me say black women and white tears. In response to a video that I posted, I got some feedback and some comments that I found very helpful because it allowed me to look further into history, which then allowed me to create more dialogue. I read through comments, one name continued to pop up, and that was Emmett Till. Emmett Till's untimely and horrific death is said to be the catalyst that pushed forward the Montgomery bus boycotts. That further sparked people's desire to become a part of the civil rights movement. And that movement is what changed the landscape of America. From politics, how we vote, and to how we lived our everyday lives. You are correct. Carolyn Bryant is very much alive. This is a picture of Carolyn Bryant. Carolyn Bryant is 87 years old. And you know why there aren't any recent pictures of her? Carolyn is now 87 because this was last year, and her family has kept her current whereabouts secret. Well, we all know where Emmett Till is. He's in the ground because Carolyn lied. After her son's passed, she confessed. In 2007, at 72, she says she fabricated the most sensational part of the testimony and, quote, "That part is not true. Nothing that boy could have done justifies what happened to him." Admitting that she had tender sorrow for Mamie Till, Emmett Till's mom. Fun fact, she's written a memoir, and the manuscript is unavailable for public view until 2036. Terrible Human Award goes to... So this video took it even deeper and caused other people to create additional dialogue, sharing their own personal stories about things that happened to them, either when they grew up or in the areas where they grew up. Thank you for sharing this story because this made me go look, as we should when it's time to understand history. I'm from the South, and I grew up in a place called Wilmington, North Carolina, where the 1898 Wilmington Massacre was, and they paid careful attention not to teach us about that. I didn't actually learn about it until I was an adult. That's the reason why I make it my business to learn what I can. I grew up in the South. You grew up in the Midwest. Our life experiences would be different, but we're still human. And it's important to understand our human condition. So because of this, I did some more research. And I ran across this website that gave information about the lynchings that you mentioned. Thomas Shipp and Abram Smith. These two young men were accused of raping a woman named Mary Ball. There was another young man that was beaten severely, but he survived. And years later, Mary said that it never happened. I decided to start scrolling from the top and move down to the bottom of the page. I then found the story of Scott Burton and William Donegan. August 14th, 1908, a riot broke out. It was based on the fact that someone had said their daughter had been sexually assaulted. After the arrest of the man, a mob was created. Two men, Scott Burton and William Donegan, were both lynched. Now, the issue with their lynching was neither one of these men were said to have been a part of what happened. One was 84, married to a white woman, and the other one was a businessman. They were both upstanding members of the community in Springfield. And when it was all said and done, at the end of September, Nellie, the person who alleged the rape and admitted that the initial black man she said raped her, didn't. That her attacker was a white man and she refused to identify him. So I found that there was another page that has archives for Illinois. In an act of posterity, they interviewed people and created podcasts. I ran across the interview of a man who at the time of the riot was 11 years old, and he gave an eyewitness account.
They then proceeded back to the levee and walked down, pillaged all the pawn shops and all the other places, stealing.
I'm sure by now some people are like, how did we get here? And that's the intention of teaching history in its full form. Everything we do begets something, and there's a trickle-down effect. If you pour water on a hill, it is going to roll down. And along the way, whatever it crosses, it affects. History can have serious implications in how things that have happened in the past affect our present and future living. In many of the cases where men were lynched, accusations of rape fueled the mobs. We can never make the assumption that if someone says that they were assaulted, that they're lying. As history serves us, accusations were made, and many times the justice that should happen through our court system never happened. The mobs became the judge, jury, and executioner. Now you have to keep in mind, many of these accusations may not have been prompted by the actual people that were said to be the victims. They could have been simply an excuse for the mob to have its way. During this period of time, you have to remember too that when black women were assaulted, no one batted an eye. So the victimization of women in general created dissension and confusion. So you fast forward to today. In the past, people did whatever they could to protect women, all the way up to killing. But now, if we speak of rape, there's a huge divide in how our society looks at it. Consider the fact that if in history, the majority of rapes or sexual assaults that happened to white women prompted so much violence and destruction, and then found out to not be true, that type of mentality of not believing victims has surfaced in our current living. It comes in the form of victim shaming, or holding the victim accountable for the actions of the person that did the crime to them. But it also continued the idea that some people feel like if they cry wolf, they'll get their way. And while less severe, flopping around on the floor to prove your point or to get attention can solicit similar responses to the times long past. So with that, I will continue to play the audio. Please know that this is an excerpt of a recording that is actually 12 minutes long.
They then proceeded back to the levee and walked down, pillaged all the pawn shops and all the other places, stealing the revolvers and anything else that was loose in the place.
This is a big mob by now, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
They went down, unfortunately, and caught, anytime they caught a colored guy, they wanted a lynching. They killed several of them, threw their bodies on the boxcars on the war-based railroad tracks, and they were shipped away, and nobody ever knew who they were. They went over in the shadows of the State House.
Prior to the conclusion of the audio, I'll leave you with this. Seeds of discontent can only be sown where they've already been planted. And try as people might, history is already written, and it also deserves its scribes. Just like the gentleman in this audio. Like I always say, don't just take it from me, do your research.
Who they were. They went over in the shadows of the State House, Spring and Kennedy, and a man over there by the name of Burton. Highly respected black fellow, I think he was a barber, married a white woman. And they took him outside, strung him up and lynched him right outside his house, right in the shadows of the State House.
Wow.
And there were many places where they went in, and the people that were white would put a white cross on their front door. Those were down what they call the Badlands. The white cross was a signal that there were no Negroes there and they would be left alone.
Thanks for hanging out. And I hope that you found and got some information from this that you can take away or actually share with someone else. That's the whole purpose of creating dialogue. That old saying, each one, teach one. Until next time.
It is Ryan here, and I have a question for you. What do you do when you win? Like, are you a fist pumper, a woohooer, a hand clapper, a high fiver? I kind of like the high five, but if you want to hone in on those winning moves, check out Chumba Casino. At ChumbaCasino.com, choose from hundreds of social casino-style games for your chance to redeem serious cash prizes. There are new game releases weekly, plus free daily bonuses, so don't wait. Start having the most fun ever at ChumbaCasino.com.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.